Yeah, I have tripped over backwards into pretty much every opportunity I've ever gotten.
Hmm.
You've worked a lot of fucking more backbreaking shit than I have, dealing with the public.
Yeah, cocktail waitressing. It taught me more than just about anything else did about how to operate in cybersecurity. I'll tell you that right now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I've done a lot of stuff: clean houses, toilets, weeding gardens, raking,
Yeah,
waiting
it's
tables.
all in her book. You
What?
can read about it there in the intro.
Well, I didn't tell him everything. Some of the good stuff is waiting for 100 years after my death, like Mark Twain.
Absolutely. This
Okay.
guy had more, right?
Yeah, he's got. What kind of systems do you see improperly installed most often?
Oh God, exit and egress.
Really?
Yes, all the time, all the time.
Why?
Because
I mean,
so
you gotta let people out of a building if it's on fire. So.
right, but so here's an example. If a door
Mm-hmm.
allows egress without the presentation of a credential,
Okay.
that's weird in a secure environment. I understand you have to be able to get out. And I'm not even talking, I'm talking about like mechanical egress, not a rec sensor or something, just mechanical egress. There are secure facilities, data centers and shit, where if I can slip the latch or under door tool the Van Duperen panic bar or something.
Is that one where if you press in it for 15 seconds, it'll let you out?
Well, DTEX
You
makes those, like a number of people make those, but no, these are, but there's, you can fuck with those too. But no, it's literally like that should throw an alert, and a lot of times it doesn't. Yeah, a lot of systems where a door operates almost in passage mode when it shouldn't. So yes, egress is we screw with that all the time, and it should always throw an alert, and it doesn't.
Is that more like is that more like improperly monitoring egress? As
In a
opposed to
way,
the locks are working fine. It's just nobody cares if they have been triggered by somebody who doesn't have a proper credential.
but I mean,
Okay.
to me, that's part of being installed wrong. The
Yeah, fair.
configuration is part of the installation.
Here, here. I wish more people believe that. Most fun job and most challenging job.
I don't answer that question. And honestly, in many ways, they're the same job. I've told the story before. Like, was it Darknet Diaries or somebody who interviewed me? And there's Google like my name and Trunk Monkey, you might find it. But
What?
superlatives. This is a thing I've talked about on InRange with Carl and his Q&As and stuff. Superlatives are the worst questions. And I'm not trying to fuck with Derek. Is Derek?
Craft Xbox.
Sorry, not trying to fuck with you, man. What's the greatest, best, worstest, biggest, smallest, most deep-throatiest thing? Like, superlatives are, at their heart, boring questions. Because there's always either like a super direct answer or an answer that's just not interesting. This happens way more to Carl and Ian, in my opinion.
Really?
Where people say, what's the best rifle for rifles? What's the best rifle for hunting? And then Carl...
Best pistol for home defense.
Yeah, what's the best pistol for home
Okay.
defense? Well, the answer
All
is a
right.
Glock 19, actually.
Wow.
But
see, then it's a boring question because the
the,
answer
the answer's either painfully obvious
Okay.
or dependent on a ton of other considerations. And the question doesn't really speak in a fun way. See, I stole this policy from CGP Grey. CGP Grey in his Ask Grey videos won't answer like superlatives. What's your favorite country's flag? And he's like, well, that's dumb. And it's Canada and why. But no, it's not. But I mean, Canada's got a great flag.
Canada's got a good flag.
Because it's simple and impactful and not boring.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a boring question. It's I don't want to fuck with you, man. It's not a boring. It is a question that doesn't tell me about you. And I love seeing a little bit of all of you in your questions, a little insight into your lives, and not just me barfing out, well, here's the things that really spin my beanie. You know,
Who's
like,
your favorite wife?
well,
And you're dead.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Came close on a few, but you're the best one.
Of all of my husbands, you are by far the most recent.
Yes. I need another fucking drink. I love you.
I stole that from The Long Kiss Goodnight, which, by the way, is one of my favorite movies. Okay. Jamie M. says, where do you see the physical pen testing side of things in 10 years? With everything moving to the cloud, do you see the physical side of things becoming obsolete? If I have a company and everything is in the cloud, why would I hire you to break into my physical location when I could just have a guy do everything from his computer? I have opinions on this, but please feel free to give your opinions.
You're gonna say
it's
more
your
than me.
channel. Go ahead.
I mean, the cloud is still located somewhere. Mm-hmm. And more our company does data center jobs because the security of the data center is paramount to the security of the cloud. That's a big thing, man. It's not a single point of failure, but it's a big point of failure. If certain very critical infrastructure and data centers, that's become a big chunk of what we work on. Mm-hmm. And then in the end is if the office, sure, the data isn't in the office, but the office still has to care about if somebody has a disturbed partner, an ex or somebody who shows up. They have to care about if they've had a threat and packages are scanning. There's a lot of weird, disturbing things in the world. Mm-hmm. That physical security is always going to be a part of that too. So we're going to keep eating for a while.
There's a flip side of that question too. The question is, why would I hire you to break into my physical location when I could do it from a computer? The other side of that is, why would I bother with computers anymore if I could just have somebody walk into the building? And the answer with why would I bother with computers is, how do you get into a building? What do you do to get into a building? Literally any building.
You interact with a computer now.
You interact with a computer now, or you're using an Envoy system, or you're talking to a receptionist. And what is the receptionist doing to find out whether or not you're authorized to walk into the building?
She's looking at her computer.
Checking your Active Directory, right? Is this person... Oh, I lost my ID. I'm John Q. Smith. Would you please let me in? I work on the 13th floor. Well, John Q. Smith, your face matches this picture that has just been updated in my database. Mm-hmm. Good heavens. Heavens to Betsy, you must indeed be John Q. Smith. Proceed, sir. So, yeah, there's a reason. It goes back and forth. But the answer is physical and digital security are functionally, at this point, the exact same thing. Correct. How do you tell if somebody's walked into your building? You look at your video cameras, which are all stored in an S3 bucket someplace. Don't have it set to a public S3 bucket. Anyway.
We found those.
Yeah. Haven't we all?
I should take a drink because I presumed the secretary was femme presenting, and I said her.
Did you?
Yeah.
What do you take a drink for? That's good. You don't get to have good rye when you make a mistake.
No, that was a penalty drink.
Penalty drink?
Penalty drink.
That's good rye. It's not a penalty drink.
It looks the same
you want
as
a penalty drink?
This is
it's the rosé.
From Hedges, though. This is a good release.
It's a good release, but now you're on camera drinking rosé. Thank you. All right, here we are.
Because I'm concerned about my masculinity.
Okay. Glenn J says, have you seen B&E from A to Z? He dropped he gave you a YouTube link apparently that will be, I am not saying the word doobly-doo. I am not saying it. And I'm not saying
Vigeo.
Okay, is this the AVE thing, isn't it?
Yeah. I will drop a link.
In the fine description below this lovely filmed entertainment, you will find words written down. Okay, I can't anymore.
Down below me in the doobly-doo.
Wow.
There'll be a link to that Vigeo.
I'm not saying that.
And yes, B&E to A to Z. It's a video that looks like it was shot on a VHS cassette camcorder in, 1984. But I actually think it was filmed in 2002 or something. I don't know. It looks older than it is. And it is a source of both mirth and smiles to a lot of us in the industry. It is genuine material, but it's from an era before we all knew how to communicate about this. And it was someone just, he just kind of brain dumps. He's like, here's a bunch of information. And some of it's been in text files, and some of it's been in these weird out-of-print locksmithing books. If you've ever seen like kind of a shitty black and white scan of an old locksmithing book from the 80s,
Ooh, that MIT one?
imagine that
Oh, yeah.
turned into a video. And that's kind of B&E from A to Z.
And in all, 2 screwdrivers, work around the parameter, 9 o'clock, 12 o'clock. Pop the cylinder, and a good pro can do it faster than that. Stick a screwdriver in, unlock it, open the door.
But it's wonderful. I don't want to. I'm not throwing shade. I'm honestly saying it's a moment in time, and all of you and your friends should get together and fill your glasses and watch it one night, because it's a hoot, and everyone who's ever put something out there in the world that others have used, the first time they ever did it was probably not great. But you know what? The first time this guy did it, he made money off it. So he's laughing all the way to the bank.
All right. Paul S. Here in the UK, ooh, I'm going to be in the UK soon. Hello. The majority of doors have a multi-point locking strip down the edge with rollers or hooks engaging in a strip on the frame, and in some cases also deadbolts top and bottom into the frame. I'm taking these mental notes right now. All right, you got to kip me up.
Yeah.
Go, babe. All right. Are these sorts of doors ever used in the U.S.? And secondly, what is your opinion on them for security?
They're wonderful for security, and they're very seldom used in the U.S. They're often referred to as multi-bolt doors. And sometimes this is the locking side of the door has multiple deadbolts just sticking out. That's more for cutting resistance than anything else. If someone were to get in there, you'd have to cut, bolt, and bolt, and bolt, and bolt. But there are multi-point doors where they actually throw bolts out all 4 sides. If you're ever curious, this is a fun piece of history. If you've ever seen very old multi-lock, specifically multi-lock and some other brands of Euro cylinder, where the tail cam doesn't look like your usual, here, I'm a tail cam, but it looks like a little cog gear. Usually it's like a black cog. That is an artifact from way back when multi-lock was so multi-lock was originally Rav Bariach. Rav Bariach was an Israeli brand, which means multi-bolt. So that cog, that gear, was engaging with the bolt work on all 4 sides of the door, and that's a fun little historical, tip. You don't see that anymore as much, and most of these solutions, we talk about this in some of our trainings. A lot of the European doors, and I think maybe the next question or down the someone says,
are bypass type attacks to these sorts of doors, or are they pretty much bulletproof to that sort of? Basically, are these vulnerable to bypass attacks?
No, they are really not vulnerable to bypassing.
Really?
And most of these doors, again, they're not made for easy ingress and egress. Mm-hmm. They're made for incredible robustness in the face of potentially bad actors and adversaries. You don't see doors like this in the U.S., and Rob really covers this in his security designs class, right? Mm-hmm. Like, the U.S. fundamentally is a nation that's never been conquered. We've never been occupied. Europe, the Middle East, a lot of parts of the world that have a much more checkered history, they've experienced real occupation, where the forces in the street, where the state didn't either have a monopoly on power and force, or the state actors were the baddies. They were the looking.
Tell me more.
Vichy
What's that
France.
like?
I know, right?
Yeah,
well,
okay.
yeah, we're getting there. We're getting close. That's so disturbing to say, but yeah, I'm actually happy that our home is not easily breachable with like a battering ram. But yeah, the idea of if the police outside the door are there to harm you, your culture develops these much more robust door solutions. And multi-bolt doors are kind of like one of those examples.
There's a whole lot of social commentary we could poke at there, but I'm just going to take a sip of this right now and move to Lyle S.'s question.
Okay.
So Lyle S. says, what is in your and Tara's glasses this evening? You usually start your videos by telling us that, but during this Q&A, you didn't.
That is true. So you said you were drinking rosé. Is that correct?
I am. Mm-hmm.
Yep. The Hedges release this year or last year?
It's I think. Let me see here. What have I got?
It's 2019.
Descendons Liégeois du Pont. This is the 2019, the Rosé. There's a really great winery in Eastern Washington.
We drive out to Eastern Washington to hunt, and there's a winery we like to stop at. So yeah, we got some of their rosé, which has been doing us quite proud. I am drinking mostly just rye tonight, from back in Pennsylvania, where I'm from, is Rittenhouse rye. Yeah, I'm not doing much special with it. I'm dropping a little bit of Angostura bitters in there and some ice, because I'm not La Fancy this evening.
What, is that 2 ingredients?
It's an emergency.
Two ingredients is in the
well,
cocktail.
you know what? I am
emergency.
dropping 1 or 2 drops of sugar alcohol to make it. So the old fashioned was originally made with rye sometimes, not always bourbon. And yeah, sure, we'll call this an old fashioned in a pinch. How the fuck is this guy asking this question? Are you from the future? What the fuck, man?
He said follow-up. He says, yes, I am from the future. I was riding in the Baja 1000 off-road race and wound up in the past somehow. Any advice?
Jesus, Lyle, I don't know, man. Like, keep your head down, try to stay safe, find a place to hole up. Try not to become your own great-grandfather or something.
Mr. Leopold, a government worker, says, is there any free training out there you can recommend? I paid for my own locksmith basic training and I use my own personal time off to attend what I can find. Is there anything you can recommend from disaster prep, victim services, to even just basic things that you think would be handy? Bonus points if there is anything web-based I can justify while doing at work.
Whew. The free is going to be the hard part there, right? Yes, like loads of training, if you count training being tons of HackerCon videos that are online. The DEF CON media server,
Yes.
Jeff has been maintaining that for how many years now? I mean, he literally is getting every DEF CON talk that he has ever had recorded all the way back to super single digit. Like, he's back around DEF CON 5 with at least audio.
That's a wealth. That is a trove.
Yeah.
That's the Library of Congress of
But that's a
shit
lot
you can't
to
find anywhere else.
dig
Yeah,
through.
It is.
And it's hard to kind of call that CPEs or justifiable credits.
They'll let you do that for the CISSP, though.
Really? Even DEF CON talks?
Even DEF CON talks.
Well, there you go.
You can watch them and attest to the fact
Yeah.
that you've watched them.
As far as it goes for anything else, for free 99,
Free.
you're not going to get pro grade training, right? You're going to get somebody sort of speaking to a large room that happens to have been recorded. If you want super inexpensive training, what does he say his job is? What's
He's a government worker, which probably also means there's some conflict of interest stuff too. So it's often difficult for gov workers to justify or to take stuff. And there's lines in classes and some trigger stuff that they have to disclose.
I will say
Yeah.
this.
It's hard to do that. I got this
Because of coronavirus, a lot more conferences are trying to go virtual. Obviously, Black Hat this year, all virtual. Our class is virtual at Black Hat. SANS has moved. They've been good at virtual for a while now. They're moving way more of their courses into virtual. So you're going to have more options probably soon. They're not going to be free, but maybe they'll be cheaper. I mean, honestly, they're not going to be much cheaper because most of these institutions, if you say, hey, it's an online class, I'm not in person, I need savings, and they're going to tell you,
well, you didn't pay to come here.
justifiably,
Yeah.
you are getting a savings. You're not paying for a flight, a hotel, meals, like, there's your savings. So you're still paying the SANS Black Hat rate, which is a substantially non-zero rate. But look for smaller regional cons. In Montana, Big Sky Security, Big Sky Cybersecurity Con. It's run by, again, full disclosure, friends of ours, LMG Security. We've worked with them. We know them. They were planning an event just for the Montana region, and COVID. So they wound up making it virtual. It's going to be online, and all their training is going to be online. Everything's going to be, but for way less than you're going to pay for Black Hat or SANS. So maybe check that out. Link down below me in the doobly-doo.
Oh, he said the word again. Okay. And moving. So Mr. Leopold does also say, thank you so much for all the YouTube videos you post, as well as being great to make sure that a lot of the con talks you do gets posted as well. You are a wealth of amazing information and seem like one of the minority in being a great human being. You really are.
Aw. Thank you, Leopold. You sound like a nice human being too.
Good luck as a gov worker right now, and especially I know it's hard to find trainings that you're permitted to go to, can get funded. I know it's tough, so good luck on that one. And yeah, you're not wrong. He's I could have been locked in a house for the last 3 months with substantially more unpleasant company.
This is true. We all could be. If any one of you are realizing that your house is like neat and tidy and you're not trying to strangle the person you're in the house with, just count your blessings. That's not to say I'm not also, taking care of the
That's cool.
antibodies and anti
It's an antibacterial.
antibacterials. Yes, exactly. There we go. So
All right, next.
we got 2 more pages maybe to go.
Oh, yeah.
Something. We're getting there.
Monkey on fire.
Monkey on fire.
Do I have to say that way?
Yeah, it has 3 exclamation points.
Monkey on fire!
There you go.
Okay. It's like 12 o'clock at night and I've had 2 glasses of rosé. Yeah, I'm pretty chill at this point, dude. All right. I mean, monkey on fire. All right, here we are. I am a programmer and I am trying to teach myself how to be an effective pen tester. Any trustworthy sources of good info for not wanting to just throw all my fancy new equipment in the burn barrel and give up. Thumbs up on the burn barrel reference. I grew up on a farm too.
So, if I understand this, Monkey's saying that they are currently a programmer?
Currently a programmer and teaching themselves
They want to become a pen tester.
to be an effective pen tester.
And
yes.
it sounds like they're hitting a wall, maybe? Or they're...
I'm wondering if it's
What
physical pen tester. It's frustrating to get
Let's-
those big kits of stuff. And
Let's
what do
assume
I
it's
do?
digital for a minute.
Digital?
What is some of those hack the box challenge websites and resources that...
Oh, yeah. Okay, so if you want to learn, depending on if you've got those digital tools, I have really been super digging security innovations, online CTFs. One of the things that happened as all the conferences went digital is everybody had to start figuring out how to do CTFs online. So one really cool thing that's I'm actually in a CTF right now. I know it doesn't look like it. I've got a...
I stole her for a little while.
There'll be essentially a cyber range online, and you'll get creds to log into it. Hammer away at that. You will be able to find and figure stuff out. Honestly, when we've got a lot of fancy tools, if you just learn like Wireshark inside and out, you're already going to be so far up on most of the competition. Metasploit's out there already in Community Edition. So the fancy new equipment is good, but this goes back to like the algebra question again. The 2 plus 2 and understanding how to do substitution variables and just understanding how to attach to a process or modify the values in a cookie is really where a lot of this is based. Is
Give
the
us
basics of
the
art.
top 2 or 3
Yeah.
Googleable phrases or products. Give me some Google searches. Give me 2 or 3 Google searches that'll send them down a path.
There's a couple of good things out there. Depending if you're a programmer and you're not familiar with a lot of pen test stuff, one of the most basic things you can do is start doing some of the tutorials for Metasploit.
So like Google Metasploit tutorial.
Google Metasploit tutorial. There's going to be a lot of those out there, as well as Contox. On Metasploit techniques.
Georgia Weidman's talks or her book.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Georgia Weidman's pen testing book is huge. I didn't know you were going to ask this, but I'll actually note something that I and several other really cool people are doing. Charlotte Woodrow and Ian Meyer are working on a project that I had come out last year called the Nerd List. If you've never done anything like crack a hash before for a password, this is so basic. It's barely even hacking at this point when it comes to talking to people who are dealing with data breaches. People should have this one figured out. But it's a great entry point into pen testing, just to figure out how to crack a hash. You're going to want to use the tool John the Ripper for that. And that's available just about just about everywhere. Yeah, a lot of the fancy tools, incorporate them as you see fit into a lab or VM, wherever you've got it, only after you understand them. The fancy new tools are only as good as your understanding of them. And if you really understand John the Ripper, Wireshark, maybe Hydra, and Metasploit, you're going to start understanding what's happening in pen testing. So yeah,
Right.
and find those online CTFs too. Security Innovation is a really good one. What is CaptureTheFlag.online is another location that has online cyber ranges, and they've got some free stuff out there too. There's a lot of good resources out there.
Name your top favorite
Yeah.
people to follow on Twitter who are really welcoming to people getting into this. I'm going to say Ian Meyer. And then
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to steal that one.
You totally go talk to Ian Meyer. There's a gentleman who's on Twitter, and I will make him put it in the text-based description below the fine filmed entertainment. I'm not.
Doobly-doo of the
Nope.
Vajeo.
It's a gentleman named Abachi, and he's posted really incredible OSCP guides. And I'm a super big admirer of his. So he's got some really great stuff. You'd call that more intermediate level, but it will be instructional on all the search terms you'll need to find stuff. Yeah.
Right on.
Mm-hmm.
That was like the longest answer to date. How are we doing here? How many more
All
pages
right.
we got?
Well, you didn't tell me that you were going to have
No,
to
that was
answer a
fucking
question.
baller. That was-
So I didn't have the
No.
chance to make it. I apologize for the length of this letter, but I fear I did not have enough time to make it brief. Anyway,
How are we doing? Where are we here?
we're on Tammy. Tammy asks, if you had nothing much to fix for dinner, what could you come up with on a whim? My hubby is a retired chef. Sweet. Now he is a welder. This guy sounds hot. Okay. And it always amazes me to watch him make something incredible out of nothing much. Isn't that cool? So answer that one first, and then she's got some more.
So
Or they. Never want to presume.
that's all right. I think she uses she her in her
Okay, cool.
in her email. But
Okay.
yes, so if we don't know what we want to do for dinner, and I think this is related to the next question. Somebody else asked a very similar question on the next page. We'll get to it. I tried to group the cooking questions together. Tara once described the idea of fridge Velcro to me, and it's a really good idea. So the idea of looking into your fridge and saying, what do I got? Like the lazy version in the 70s and 80s was casserole, right? Mm-hmm. In fact, I'll quote some sort of like comedian I saw when I was a kid at some club, and he was like, ketchup, cheese, potato chips, casserole. Like that's how mom doesn't want to cook. But but that's again like there are a number. If you don't live in the Midwest and you don't have fried onions that you can just sprinkle over everything, and you don't want to make a batch of bars, like I can just drop upper Midwest references all fucking night long.
What's a batch of bars?
Well, they're not cookies because they're bars because
What?
they're better. We have to make bars later.
What's in a bar?
It's like a cookie, but it's better. Just
Okay, fine.
everyone from Minnesota right now, if your house hasn't fucking burned down, you're thumbs upping my comment.
Oh, wow.
So, but no, the idea of fridge Velcro
The world is just shit, but at
is
least we
being
can argue
able
about
to
bars.
look at. By the way, so the short answer is fucking eggs. Jesus Christ!
Mm-hmm.
If you're not a vegan, just have eggs in your goddamn fridge, because you can do so much shit with eggs.
Mm-hmm.
Eggs have showed up on this channel before, and the eggs on cocotte, the way we scramble eggs. Like, there's a lot of goddamn shit we do with eggs. If I already took eggs? This is like Family Feud. Like I'm like eggs, and that's the
Dang.
top answer.
How are you not going to prepare me for this kind of thing?
What's another fridge Velcro item that you look to and you're like, I'm going to make this happen?
Good Greek yogurt. It can do anything. It can be sour cream. It can go into soups. It can be breakfast.
She's not lying.
It can be dessert if you just sprinkle like a little fruit over the of it. It can be a delicious salad. You can dollop a bit of it on just about anything, and it makes it salad. Like you can have a tomato, and you can put a little bit of Greek yogurt on top of it, and then like sprinkle some like dried parsley on it. Lo, it is a salad. Mm-hmm. You can put lemons and olive oil and whatever the hell else you want to on it, and it works amazingly. Then you can thin it down. You can turn it into like lassi if you want to with cumin. There's nothing you can't do with yogurt, and it is an incredible ingredient, as well as being high protein.
God,
So.
marry me every day, all the time.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there you go. Fridge Velcro is the
Yeah.
answer to that.
Fridge Velcro is the answer to that.
And it sounds like her husband may know that because she says he was a chef. And yes, what else? Do we have any more for this?
Yeah, we
What-
do.
what
We
got?
do. Good. What was your most fun job? You don't have to give out any secrets, but I love your sense of humor. Also would love to see a group video, even if you had to disguise them or use speakerphone. Love your channel.
Oof, we got the superlative question again. Most.
He has a most fun job, and he won't answer, but he's got a most fun job.
No, the most fun job was the crazy data center where the Trunk Monkey story happened. And
Is that what your other Q&A, right?
one of these days, we will have the whole core group team, the entire Red Mesa team. We'll have Glasser. We'll have freaking Sophie. Like, we're gonna get. It was a big goddamn job. Like, it was. Everyone likes to pretend that their pen tests can last for weeks, and that on a digital pen test, that means sometime during this 3-week period we will attack the server. No, this was like us on the ground for weeks because there was recon and there was like, dude, Robert and Drew like army crawled through fucking fields of animal shit in this Nowheresville in the American South just to put eyes on this government institution. Like, there's a whole bunch of shit to this story.
I flew there actually to visit you for just a couple of days.
Yeah, because I was gone for so long.
And I walked in and I was like, there's like wiring that they've hung in this like location that they're in, and
we had a field office that we made in an
there's
Airbnb.
Like,
we rented
radio equipment. I was like, why do you have 17
Yeah.
radios and why are they all labeled like not you?
Yeah.
What is happening
We
here?
rented a giant house
Yeah.
that was maybe 3 miles from the target, and we.
Yeah, there's some pictures already on Twitter. I'll retweet them later with the ShakaCon Fun hashtag, and you'll see the meat and everything going on in our room. But you can ask me questions about meat later. Today we're talking about physical security, as I usually do. And this talk, I mean, it might sound boring, right? But like, this is not about the lock. This is about the thing your lock is usually in, your door or your fence or your container. So I am a physical penetration tester. I'm as people in the family love to joke, I'm the physical penetration specialist of my clan of beings. I look like a consultant during the day, but at night I break into buildings. I just, I break into places and steal stuff and then write a report about it, and it's really fun. And as the core group has grown over the years and we've pinched people from government roles and from law enforcement, we're basically just professionally dangerous folk at this point. We teach people a lot of combatives work. We do a lot of restraints escape. We do a lot of really fun things, and people, blow a lot of smoke up us and make us seem way more awesome than we really are. If you want to learn how to bust out of zip ties, I'll show you. It's not as hard as it looked in the James Bond movie. But why do we do this? Why do I have a job? Why does physical security matter, especially in InfoSec? Well, if you read any of the breach reports, if you read a lot about InfoSec news, you'll see that breaches and a lot of compromises, they impact the physical world. The physical world and the data and InfoSec world are not that separate. Did anybody see in the latest, the story about the water utility, right, that got compromised with malware? And it was actually, there were changes made to their PLCs and their controllers. They were actually changing the amount of chemicals that were in the water stream, and of course what was happening while it was running on archaic technology. That's how they got popped. So when news like this hits, you now see a lot of players in the space of InfoSec that are really saying, wow, we've got to look at things on all surfaces. This isn't just some problem of like our email addresses got compromised. Like the real physical world is getting impacted. So you see utility companies. Utility companies are looking for more InfoSec now. They're looking for more physical background now. Of course, when in these reports they call people out for like, well, the problem was just really old software. It was running, it was super, no, this is such a weird, and like that never happens today, right? Like you would never see completely outdated systems, running at a utility company. This, we visit a lot of utilities now, water utilities, power companies. You'll see a lot of images relating to those on these slides. But while everyone's thinking of, oh, well, InfoSec has this sort of maybe physical component, these companies, especially infrastructure firms, are realizing that with a physical breach, not only can your data be compromised. I mean, this is the connector, right? If I physically breach you, I'm just, I'm not going to just try to like, oh, maybe I can pwn this exploit. I don't write exploits. Like, I'm going to throw console cables into things and just change firewall rules, right? My mantra is you get undermined on your data side if somebody makes a bad choice at Home Depot. You've seen this slide before. But firms in the infrastructure space, they are now approaching us saying, hey, we heard you did some InfoSec kind of evaluation. Can you just do just straight physical? We don't really need it. We just want to know if someone breaks in, what can they do hands-on to our equipment? Or even, we had a company that was like, we were walking around like, so how much is all this brass worth? Do you have like a meth problem in this rural area? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, so what if somebody just broke in here and stole all this? Like, do you think that's maybe a target? Do you think maybe tons of these smart meters? I'm like, how much? It's a little water company. And I was like, physical break-in is something that happens. What if someone just steals all these off the shelf? And it's like, I hate your budget. They're like, oh, we never thought of that. I'm like, yeah. What if a really bad person gets into a room and kind of just messes with this? Is this a problem? And they're like, oh, how did you get this photo? I'm like, well, I was standing in this room with my team and we popped the door. I'll show you how. Like, so the physical space, it ties into data compromise. It also just ties into general, oh crap, kind of compromise. And that's why I love talking about what's quote unquote wrong with your door. And this is the focus of this talk. If you've seen me before, you may expect that I'm going to talk about locks. And sure, out in the lockpick village out there, I will show you that lockpicking is easy. How many people have come and spoken with us in the past at the lockpicking area? How many people have not? All right, so this is new material to some of you. We're going to talk all about this sort of stuff, how locks work in the lockpicking area the rest of this con. And we'll talk all about how you can make locks operate without the key. And that's something that I'm known for. It's something that I've talked about a lot. It's nothing to do with what I'm going to speak about on the stage today. Maybe we'll even get the drinks going on later. This is the first year that Chaka Khan did not provide me with a blender and a pineapple, so we're just mixing, I think this is mango juice and bourbon. We make do, we're hackers. But come on by, we'll give you some cocktails, unofficially of course. We'll give you some knowledge about locks and lockpicking, but this is not the focus of today's talk. You want to learn about how lockpick tools work? Well, come on by, we'll give you some cocktails, unofficially of course. We'll give you some knowledge about locks and lockpicking, but this is not the focus of today's talk. You want to learn about how lockpick tools work? Come to the Lockpick Village. The focus of this talk is literally everything else that is wrong with